Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We are excited to have EQ2 sponsor today's presentation, which is eligible for 1 CE credit from the ACI. At the conclusion of this webinar, you will be able to access a link that will take you to a quick survey. You will be able to download your certificate once you submit the survey. Before we begin today's webinar, I'd like to remind everyone that the first of our HTM mixers takes place next month, August 19th and 20th at the Omni Interlochen Hotel in Denver, Colorado. This event is supported by the Colorado Association of Biomedical Equipment Technicians. Join us for 2 days of networking, continuing education, and vendor engagement in a slightly modified, less crowded, and safer environment. Visit htmmixer.com for more information and to register for this event. Webinar Wednesday would like to thank our sponsors, EQ2. EQ2 HEMS CMMS transforms an HTM team's ability to improve everything they touch with the newly released version 8. Compliance and AEM guided directly by regulatory standards, call center/dispatch board with multi-level escalation based on time-elapse location, problem, shift, etc. Easy visibility into recalls and network security risks. Powerful analytics, on-demand PM creation, easy work order creation, advanced filtering and display of information on demand, powerful mobile app accessible even when disconnected from the network, complete equipment lifecycle management, and numerous integrations. They are dedicated entirely to healthcare and offer both cloud-based SaaS or in-house server options. For more information, you can go to their website, www.eq2llc.com. Our presenters today are John Kasurik, Clinical Engineering Director, Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center, and Vishal Malhotra, Chief Technology Officer, EQ2 LLC. John, Vishal, when you're ready, please begin.
Well, hello everyone. My name is John Kasurik and I'm the Director of Clinical Engineering for Dartmouth-Hitchcock Health out of Lebanon, New Hampshire. A little bit about myself. I'm a retired Marine Master Sergeant. I spent 20 years working in Marine Corps aviation, working my way up through the ranks. Specifically, I was an avionics guy. ComNav is what I started out on, but you know, if anyone knows anything about the Marine Corps, we kind of do a little bit of everything. Anyway, I retired from there, working out of maintenance control, so I had a lot of experience with maintenance activities, preventive maintenance, different types of inspections, managing aircraft and stuff like that. As my last responsibility while I was in the Marine Corps was actually working in maintenance control. So I left there and I came to Dartmouth-Hitchcock actually as a BMET. I started out in 2005. I worked on the bench primarily, and I was working ICU, dialysis, and the OR. More specifically, I was responsible for the anesthesia machines and stuff like that. I also did some stuff on Linux and helped out with that from time to time. I wasn't trained on the Linux, but I, lent a helping hand to the technicians when they needed to, replace some hoses or whatever it was. Anyway, short time after that, I was asked to be the supervisor of the department, and I did that for quite a while. Then our manager left. I ended up taking on that role as a manager, and then, finally I came into the director role that I have now. Originally, when I started, Dartmouth-Hitchcock was, it was really about here in Lebanon, one place, but that is kind of over the years morphed into a system approach. So now I kind of oversee the entire system from an HTM perspective. So it has been a real ride for me. It's been very exciting. there have been some challenges along the way, like many of you experienced, but it's been fun. So we've got a great team here. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy working for Dartmouth-Hitchcock, and I am excited today to kind of carry that excitement forward a little bit with you, to show some of the stuff that we've done for customer empowerment. So with that said, I wanted to take this opportunity and pitch it off to my counterpart, Vishal Malhotra of EQ2, and let him introduce himself. Vishal, it's all yours.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. I am Vishal Malhotra, CTO at EQ2 LLC. Today, we are going to talk about two different topics. The first topic of the session will be Interdepartment Information Visibility, and the second topic will be Capital Planning. Before we start the session, let me give you a brief overview about EQ2 and HEMS. EQ2 and HEMS has a long history. HEMS started long back in 1983 at University of Vermont in collaboration with ASHI and Kellogg's Foundation. This was early age of PCs. University of Vermont took it forward till 1993, and at that point of time, EQ2 took it over from UVM. And now, in the last 27 years, EQ2 has took it forward and added a lot of advanced functionality, and it's not now just a CMMS application. It's a complete equipment lifecycle management system with capital planning as an add-on module. It has products for all the different form factor and operating systems like Windows, iOS, Android, smartphone, tablet, laptop, you name it. So that was the history of HEMS and EQ2. Now I will have John take it over and start the first session of the day, which is Interdepartment Information Visibility. Thank you.
So when we think about the context of our customers and how we're going to empower them, let me ask you a few questions. What if as a practice manager, had the ability to see all of my assets with the click of the button? What if I could also not only see those assets, but I could know which ones were life support, which ones were high risk, how many imaging devices I had, how many were radiology? What if I could even see how many devices were retired in the last month and how many were added in the last month or year? What if I was able to see what the total value of my assets were, and as a cumulative figure, what was my cost of service ratio for the last 12 months? To add to that, what if I, as a practice manager, could see what my PM compliance was for my assets in my department or the departments that I'm responsible for? What if I could see my uptime percentage at the click of a button? Or knew what my response times were for service from my HTM professionals that take care of me? Are they responding within 15 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours? Are my people in my department satisfied with the results that they're getting from the HTM department? What if I could see the survey results and what kind of comments were going back about the level of service we're receiving? What if I could see how many recalls I had, or high failure rate items, or items that had assets that had high maintenance cost? Or even if I wanted to look at maximum expenditure limits and drill into a single asset to see, am I upside down on that asset? or not? What's my rate of occurrence of failures? And finally, what if I could just click on a button and see all of my contracts right there for that department? Those are the things we want to answer in this session and talk about a little bit more in depth. And it's really about empowering our clinicians, not only to help us as HTM professionals to get a better handle on our equipment, our assets, and what they look like, but, to give our customers the tools that they need, to give finance the tools they need, to give supply chain the tools they need to make good capital decisions, to make good decisions from a practice manager perspective. To, when I go as a practice manager, if I go to buy a new piece of equipment, I want to know that decision is well founded and why I'm doing it, and be able to back it up with data. So today, I would submit to you that the ability to give the customers a dashboard with all that information at their fingertips in real time, any day of the week, by anyone we give access to, would be a huge step towards empowerment of clinicians and sharing of data that I think would be ultimately invaluable to them. So, with that said, let's get started, and we'll dive into the dashboard and what some of that stuff looks like that I just talked about. Okay, so we're going to take a real quick look at what the customer dashboard really is and what it looks like. So this is the dashboard for a particular department, and I think what I'm going to do, for time's sake on the video, I'm going to split it up in a couple sections. So right now we're going to talk about the customer's ability to go in and see what their assets are. So you can see right here that there are 37 assets in the mammography department, and if I click on that pie chart, if it had high risk, it would have a different color for the high risk items in that pie chart. But I can click on anywhere in that pie chart in a specific color, and I can actually see my equipment and what it looks like. So here I got this 190, a scanning system ultrasonic, 5.92 cost of service ratio, but I can actually click on that link and I can go in, and it should bring me up a report that shows the history of the device. So here we are, we have equipment history. I can see the age, I can see what the purchase price was, we can see any notes that we've put in or whatever, where it's located. I can see all of my scheduled maintenance activities. If I wanted to click on one of those, I can go right into it and see the details on any work order that was on the system. So there it is. I can actually go back, and that's it for that page. So I go to the second page. I can pretty much see the entire history of this asset. Here are all of my unscheduled work orders, and it shows how much my labor was, how much time we spent on it. Gives me a quick breakdown of my preventive maintenance versus corrective maintenance, the numbers, my labor cost versus parts cost. Here is CM labor cost versus parts cost, and PM labor cost versus parts cost. And these are totals. It also gives me an equipment replacement matrix. This is my maximum expenditure limit line. Anytime my maximum expenditure limit line gets crossed by the maintenance cost, then I know I'm kind of upside down on that. So it tells me my total cost of ownership, purchase price, and my maintenance cost for that device. So as a practice manager, there is a lot of information here for me to be able to make decisions about whether or not I should replace something or not. Let's get back. So that was the 37 devices. It's also broken down here. If I had high risk, I could look at just those. For this department, I don't, but like imaging would be a good example. Here, I can just see the 3 devices that are imaging devices, ultrasounds. Again, I can click on any one of those and go into them. Let's go back and see what else. And then I can also look at how many devices were retired in the last 12 months and also how many were added. So I can see that these 3 devices were retired out of the system. And that way I can say, oh yeah, okay, that was retired, or it wasn't, or hey, where's the other one that was retired? So I also get what my total cost of medical devices is and the corresponding cost of service ratio for my department. So that is the inventory piece of this dashboard. Okay, now we're back. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the other visibility things. So here down at the bottom of the dashboard, we can actually see we get different things about devices, the count of devices in the category. So how many high failure rate devices do we have? I can actually click on that bar. We can go in there and we can see what machines and what the count of failures were. We could actually click on those and go in and see the history of those if we wanted to. For time's sake, I'm just going to go back so we can continue to get through this. How many devices have high maintenance cost? Here we have one that's showing up as high maintenance cost. Let's see what that is. It's a transducer. So something happened with this. It's probably a low cost item. Just throwing the cost of service ratio up over a threshold that you can define yourself about what that threshold is, but it's really highlighted this item so we can, kind of put a watch on it and pay attention to it and kind of dive in and see what that's all about. We also have this maximum expenditure limit report. That basically has the history reports that we saw earlier with those charts and stuff that you saw, but it actually highlights the report. Let's see what comes up here. It actually highlights the report though and bases it off age and will highlight them in red if something is aged out in accordance with its depreciation. So here we can see it's negative 2.26 years or whatever. So this just gives the practice manager another way of looking at these devices and to help make capital decisions. We also have a rate of occurrence of failure report. And here we have these things that's showing the rate of occurrence of failure, and it puts them in order for all 37 assets within the department. And again, you can drill into those. And then we have a contracts information section. And it's loading. So here's our contract information, right? Everything at our fingertip. So, and this is, so it kind of gives the practice manager or even supply chain or finance some good information about maximum expenditure limits, the age of devices, what devices are in each location, how many unscheduled work orders were in there, how many were open and closed, what did we spend total in labor, what did we spend total in parts cost, how many hours did we spend, and what did that look like. So that's it for that section. So I'm going to stop this video and then we will go do another video that's based on our compliance. So let me stop this. Now we're back. This short video is going to be on compliance. So as you can see, we have these gauges here, and these gauges speak to where our compliance is for our PM high risk for this month, and it shows that we have 100% compliance. Also, PM high risk life support. What are those things that we have designated that are life support that are also high risk, and we're at 100% for that? And what high risk items do we have that are not life support, and what's that compliance for this month? And you can see that's 100% as well. But these gauges would be, as the month goes by, they would progress up. Obviously, if you only had one, it goes from 0 to 100. But it gives you a kind of an idea at a glance of what the status is of your PMs for your high-risk devices are, for this month in that department. You also see PM high risk for non-life support. You can see last month what it was. You can see non-high risk PM for this month where you're at. And you can also compare that to what your non-high risk PM for last month and where that was. So in this case, these were all 100. Now, let's say I want to see exactly what those were. I wanted to know what the frequencies were and all of that, because maybe I'm in a department like a lab that has cap inspections and I really want to have all that information right there. I can go down here, this planned maintenance and unscheduled work order completion for the last 12 months, and I can click on this bar graph here. And that is going to bring up all of this stuff. So it tells me what the work order is, the issue date, the due date, compliance date that takes into account the windows in accordance with your MEMP policy, whatever that is. And then it will tell you whether it's compliant or not compliant. And the status, if it was closed, what the frequency was, the priority, just some good information to be able to see. And then, of course, if I want to see any of these, I can simply click on them, and I can actually see the work order. And it'll give me some basic information about the work order and what happened in there. So these are all really good information to be able to see. So I can, if I wanted to sort some of these, I could probably just scroll down and tell if I have any for this month that are non-compliant, and maybe they're not compliant yet because the month isn't finished, or maybe they're still within the window, but it just gives the practice manager something to look at to try and understand where they are for their compliance and actually be able to drill into individual records that they can see, in case they have questions about it. So here we have our satisfaction, uptime, and response time for the last rolling year. You can see right here, we have an uptime percentage. Everybody, especially in radiology environment, is really concerned about what their downtime is, and they downtime on clauses. So downtime clauses and contracts and stuff like this. So this allows us to calculate this ourselves and kind of compare that to what the manufacturer is saying, the vendor or whatever, so that we can, compare apples to apples and make sure that we agree with what they're saying. Again, you can click on this and go right into those records and see what the uptime or downtime is for each individual asset. We also have response time percentages. If the customer submits a work request, how many of those work requests were responded to in less than 15 minutes? Well, right here it says responded. We had one that was responded after 15 minutes, but all of these were responded within 15 minutes. So that's pretty good. But I, as a manager of a department, can actually go in here and I can look at all of these and say, I can even look at the 4-hour one, which ones responded. These were responded within 240 minutes. So this captures all of the things that were in the 15-minute, the 2-hour, and a 4-hour. But it does tell me that we had one that was over 240 minutes. So that would be something that I would go look at as a practice manager. I might ask some questions about it, as well as an HTM manager. I might want to look in that as well. We also have satisfaction survey results. And for every work order that is completed, that goes out to the customer, and the customer can select if they were satisfied, unsatisfied, or if they had no opinion. In this case, if they don't answer, it marks it as satisfied, because with the belief being that if they were truly unsatisfied, they would have made it a point to comment on it. So, but as a practice manager, I can go in, I can see all of these, and it's going to tell me any that had remarks. So it gives me a little chart. I can drill into each one of these and actually look at the remarks and see what those are all about and see what my people in the department are saying about our HTM service that we're getting. So that is pretty much the department dashboard. If there were recalls and alerts against this would show up here as well, and we could click on that and actually see what the actual recalls were. But I think it's important, to say that, since I've been here at Dartmouth-Hitchcock, this is the first time we've had the ability to give our customers this kind of look at information about their assets and their department. This has been really good for us. They ask questions, they see things, and they ask questions, and then we're like, oh yeah, you know what, you're right. We need to fix that. You know what, that we didn't have the right date in there for what. It's not really that old, and we can start to have those collaborations about their equipment. And ultimately, it makes for a better product, while at the same time giving them invaluable information to help them manage their department's assets along with us in the best interest of the organization. So that concludes what I wanted to show you today with the customer dashboard, which is part one of this entire presentation. Basically, we covered, visibility of assets, recalls, high maintenance cost, failure rates, satisfaction survey, response times, and as well as compliance, contract information, and even a maximum expenditure limit report that shows things that are aged out and gives you a little bit of different pictures. So, ultimately from a practice manager's perspective, or our customer's perspective, this is a lot of information that they have not had at their fingertips in the past. In my experience, when we have shared this with our customers, they have been really happy to get their hands on this type of information, as they haven't really had that before. I think another thing to keep in mind, this really helps the HTM department by giving this visibility, because it allows our customers and the people that rely on us to really understand the value that we bring to the table in the context of capital equipment and medical devices that are in the institution. It shows them that what we're doing counts. They see the preventive maintenance actions that we do. They see the corrective maintenance actions that we do. They can see that their compliance is where it's supposed to be. They see everything that I just showed you, and they can see that anytime, and they can delve into it. And it creates a environment of transparency, if you will, and kind of puts us all on the same page, which is really important, I think, in today's HTM world. We're all in this together. Our customers, our patients, our finance, purchasing. We all need to work together to create this transparency so that we can all move forward and make proper decisions for our organizations. So with that said, that concludes part one. So I'm going to turn this over to Vishal for part two. And then, at the end of his, we'll finish up and give you our contact information and stuff like that in case you have any questions. So with that said, that is it for part one.
Thank you, John. It was a good presentation, and I thank you very much for this. Now, the part two of this presentation is capital planning. And as we all know, it is always in a good interest for the organization to always have lowest total cost of ownership. And if we do not replace the device at the right point of time, we might end up with very high total cost of ownership, and even revenue loss due to downtime, and also safety risk due to different kind of attacks that are happening these days, which are targeting at the devices with the older technology, like ransomware attack that happened last year and before was targeting different older technologies like Windows XP. And again, older technologies are always at risk, high risk. So there might be a point where you might have to get rid of those devices that cannot be upgraded to the latest operating system or software updates that can impose more risk to the entire organization. EQ2 provides a very simple interface where all these factors can be combined together and also can be not only combined together, you can decide weightage of each individual factors that according to your process should have more weightage or less weightage. For example, age. What weightage you think age should have based, and again, age alone does not matter. Age, when we say age, means age compared to the life expectancy of the device, where it is in the life cycle. Based on that factor, you can decide how much weightage you have to give if the device is maybe has reached one third of the age, 75% of the age, or exceeded the life expectancy. What weightage you want to give to that in your decision to decide whether to replace the device or not. Again, the next factor is downtime also. You can see for the downtime, you can compare the downtime for the last year and last 3 year, cost of service ratio, whether the amount of money you spent on maintaining the device has high cost of service ratio, again based on the purchase price, how much money you have spent to maintain the device. That it can include contracted price, your repair price, and also for PM. So you can decide how you want to calculate the cost of service ratio. When we deploy this tool, we make sure all your rules are followed. Again, failure rate, whether the device is failing more frequently now as compared to before, how many time it failed, how many how much time it took to repair those devices. All those things can be considered in this weightage area for failure. Now, support, whether this device is obsolete or no longer supported by the manufacturer, but might be still supported by third parties, and whether parts are available from the OEM or the third party. All those factors combinedly give the support weightage. Then clinical risk is whether the device is high risk device or a non high risk device. That can give some weightage based on what you decide here. Then also technological weightage is based on, again, a part of support is there, but along with support you can include support that's obsolete one more time here if you want to. But if you think you already have used the obsolete, you can also use the network security risk of the device, technological initiative that your department is trying to apply on the hospital for the new models can also be used in technological weightage. For example, now you're trying to buy more and more devices for a particular model of a type. And if someone is planning to buy a device for the same equipment type but the different model, whether that model fits your agenda or not, technical initiative can also be used here. And then safety factor is the risk basically. That we can determine, and we are able to do that with multiple different factors, which is medical device safety reporting or incident reporting, how many times that happened for that model or that device. Also recalls, how many recalls were published, if a lot, and whether those were critical or not, a normal recall or a critical recall. Those can impact the safety scoreage. Again, once we implement with your processes, you get all this scoreage, weightage, and then you can see the total weight of the device. And this factor, the total weight, can give you a quick idea which devices to look at for replacing the device. Now, in itself, the score might not be enough to make a decision to replace a device or not replace a device. But once you get the list of these, then what's the next step? Once you decide which equipment you want to look more deep into, you can click on the control number in the same report. Now, due to confidentiality agreement, we cannot show the details from that report, but we have created a dummy record to show you how it looks like when you click on that particular equipment control number. So when you click on the control number, it will show you the information like this. Over the age of the device, how much money you have spent. You can see the cumulative cost of maintenance of the device over time. When these two lines intersect each other, this is the point of time when you are spending more money on maintaining the device than the worth of the device. You can also look at hours spent over time for maintaining the device, both for PM and CM. PM hours normally should be consistent unless there were some other issues found that were fixed during the PM. So sometimes it might go up or down, but normally it should be more consistent. These are failure rate over time for the device. Now, once you look at more detailed information, you can also see how much money you spend for maintaining the device. Again, divide that into PM versus CM and parts versus cost. You can also look at more detailed information about mean time between the failure, age of the device, what was the life expectancy, and also then all the cost factors and cost of service ratio by age. So this can give a very good information about the historical data that you have in your system. So once you look at historical data, what's next? Next is, if I buy this device now and I spend X amount of dollar to buy the device, how quickly I can recover the money that I'm spending? Or can I recover the money within 5 years or not? So let's see that. Then the next interface gives you more detail of information about the future impact or predicted future impact or estimated future impact of your decision. Suppose the fair market value for selling this particular device that you are looking at is $200,000, and the price proposed cost for the new device is $1.2 million. And suppose the revenue loss, the department director of the department who owns this equipment told you that if the device is down, hourly revenue loss for the business hours are $2,000 per hour. And you want to see now, based on this information, what if I don't replace the device? And what if I replace the device? So it will show you this information here, how much time it will take you to get the money back that you're going to spend $1.2 million today. And because you can sell this device, the existing device, at $200,000, so total negative cash flow is there, which is $1 million. And based on your expected downtime, again based on different statistical calculation, can be a linear regression, you can see what is the expected maintenance cost for every year, next 5 years, downtime that we are expecting based on the trend, and revenue loss based on, again, the hourly loss, dollar loss, revenue loss will be there per every hour of downtime, and how soon, how much money you will recover if you replace the device. You are not going to spend this much money, and that subtract from your this initial cost, and you can see in the third year, based on this, you will be in black. So this might be a right time maybe to replace this device.
Okay, I wanted to thank all of you for participating today. Like I said before, feel free to contact me if you have any questions or about anything I said. You're more than welcome to call me. Our number and email address is going to be on here, but my number is 603-650-7153, and that is my administrative assistant, Susan Dutton, will answer that. And if you want to schedule a meeting or see if she can contact me, see if I'm around, feel free to do so. Or you can choose to email me at jon.t.kocurek@hitchcock, HITCHCOCK.org. Again, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure putting this video together with Vishal, and I hope you guys got something out of it. And like I said, feel free to contact me anytime. Take care.
Thank you, John and Vishal. A quick reminder for our attendees today: to obtain your certificate for 1 CE credit from the ACI, please remember to click the link located below this webinar title to complete today's survey. If you have any questions, you can reach us at webinars@mdpublishing.com.